What is it that dads struggle with most? Is it exactly with what you struggled with, or is it something else?
Oh, great question. Every dad's a little different. I'll share this with you. I've had dads come to me where they've had sons, daughters who are adults who they're disconnected with, and it's a lot harder. But we can still make it. We've still made it happen every time. But there's a rebellion. So I'll tell you a little bit about box theory because I think it's so important. Box theory says anytime we restrict somebody, if you think of, I'm just going to use this example. I had a client who had a teenage daughter and she got in trouble and said, okay, so you're going to have to be grounded this weekend. Oh, this sucks. Blah, 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 blah. Mouths off. Feels restricted. Okay, well, now you lose your phone. More restricted. What does she do? She pushes back. Literally, she's in a box. She pushes back against it, sneaks out the window. When I was a teacher, we're restricted. The kids are in the box all day. As soon as that bell rings, what's the first thing that happens, Jamie?
Yeah, run for the door.
Run for the door. We're out. We're free. So in movies like Braveheart, fight for freedom. Like anytime there is a restriction of freedom, it will be met with tremendous opposition, especially if you have strong-willed kids. So typically I work with dads who are very, very intelligent, love their kids, want what's best for their kids, committed to the process. And in that, just like I did, lost sight of, okay, wait, what is it that my kid wants? Over time, if they may not see it, they trap them into a box and then they're like out pushing back against their leadership and they don't know why. Like, why isn't my teenage daughter talking to me? She just ignores me, gives me short answers, the eye rolls, wanting a better relationship, wanting a connection, and wanting to be able to impact their son or their daughter at the level where when they're 19, 20, they're going to come to them and say, hey, Dad, what should I do here? As opposed to, Dad, I can do this on my own. I can figure it out. I'm 19. I'm an adult now, which we all know. It's like there's so much to learn. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It does. I think about this a lot with my kids, 2 boys, 8 and 5, strong-willed. And what you said really resonated with me around meeting them where they are, especially my older one. I was sharing this with another guest that he loves to accomplish. Soccer, scores a bunch of goals, man. He's like dominating his league right now. It's crazy, averaging like 3 goals a game. And for whatever reason, my wife and I, when he's excited about scoring goals, we're afraid to almost validate that out of fear that if he doesn't score all the goals, that he doesn't see that the value is in the work, is in the process or whatever. So we say congrats, but almost in a but way, kind of draw him back to like, hey, the important thing is that you worked hard, or that you're with your team, whatever. And my eyes being open to the idea that like, hey, look, he's going to have his failures. He's going to go through what he's going to go through, but I got to meet him where he is right now. Where he is right now is crushing it. So be involved and be engaged and enrolled in him crushing it. When he's not crushing it, be there for that as he learns that, as opposed to trying to force a lesson. So that comes to mind. Is that, I don't know, does that resonate? Is that, am I tapping into leadership there, or am I parenting? Tribe listeners, I have an extremely exciting announcement for all of you. Do you want to come hang out with Cody Sanchez, David Osborne, David Green, Rich Roll, and even yours truly down in Austin, Texas? Well, let's do it. May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, for the first time ever, GoBundance, the exclusive millionaire membership group, is opening up an event to anyone, man, woman, millionaire or not, and we're calling it the Austin Entrepreneurial Summit. At the AES, you'll meet all those people I mentioned, plus GoBundance members on both the men's and women's side, and I'll be there hanging out the entire time. Every event I've ever attended for GoBundance has given me a disproportionate return on the money spent and the time spent to get there. And this is the biggest one that GoBundance has ever done. So if you're a member, not a member, and you're looking to supercharge the second part of your year, 2024, this event in May is a great way to get that all kickstarted. Go to GoBundance.com/AES right now for early bird pricing for members and guests. And warning, the power of GoBundance events is that it holds you accountable long after you're gone to achieving whatever goals you've set. So this event will change your life. GoBundance.com/AES. I'll see you there. Let's get back to the show.
Great question. I think, a lot of it is, I'm always thinking about with my kids, what's the next step? What's the next lesson? What's the next evolution? So he's crushing it in soccer. How is he performing in practice? What's his effort like in practice?
Yeah. It's good. I mean, he loves it. He gets involved. He's running his butt off.
As opposed to, like you said, celebrating this result. Like, do you see all this work that she put in that created this result?
Yeah.
And you said he's 10 or 8?
8. Yeah.
8. Like that's a jump for a lot of adults, so that he may or may not, reach that. But I think it's important, like you said, Jamie, just to always think about what's the next level for him. So if he's crushing that, actually another coach that we both know, Aaron Velke, when he was on my podcast, he talked about putting people in position that were really successful where they had to fail. So that's what came to my mind when you told me your story about your son. Like, okay, when it's a good time, when it's the right space, maybe I need to make sure that he also, instead of like, but yes, you scored, but yes, you scored, and I want to provide you another experience. What's your son's name?
Sebastian.
So Jamie, let me ask you this. What would an experience look like if you put him in a space where it was impossible to fail? I'll just give you the example that Aaron gave me, which was he had a client go with a set of rollerblades and just talk to random people in the street and ask if they could rollerblade in their basement.
That's impossible to fail?
Well, like to get a stranger to say, yes, come and rollerblade in my basement off the street. Just something silly. Like there's something that's very difficult to succeed. Like if you were to set Sebastian up with something like that, what would it look like?
Something very difficult to succeed with?
Yeah, if not impossible. Where there's a very high chance that he's going to fail.
So this is funny that you say that, and I don't know if this plays into it, but when we practice, he and I together, there's something in me that says, don't make it easy on him. So my way of setting him up to fail is by sort of, I don't want to say like dominating him as a 40-something-year-old guy and he's 8 playing soccer, but I don't make it easy. I don't like, okay, here you go. You can go ahead and score. Like I'm pushing him. And in my mind, what I see on the field then is he's had to go up against a grown man, and he actually does, he gets by me sometimes, like legitimately with not like my max effort, but not my minimum effort either. He gets by me. He scores a goal. He has to kick it faster. He has to do things faster. So to me, practicing at a 40-year-old, a full-grown man's level against an 8-year-old is putting him in a position where it's impossible to succeed. So that's what I'm working out with him. But
it's that next level. I think that's actually tougher. The tougher scenario sometimes is like, okay, a kid's doing great. How do I make sure they're humble than when they're failing? Because when you have that heartache and that pain of not succeeding, you want to get out of it.
Yeah, that is tough. That is a hard question. That is a hard thing too. The humility, building humility. I mean, look, anybody on this podcast, anybody listening to this podcast likely has their kids, if they do, in a position where they have no needs, no true needs anymore, right? Food, shelter, clothing, water, whatever is taken care of. It's stepped up living down here in the Dominican because we have full-time staff cleaning, cooking, all of that, right? So that is a question that I always wonder, like, what is I don't want my kids, I don't see the value in my kids growing up to know how to do the laundry. That's not who I'm raising to some extent. But at the same time, I don't want, entitled, spoiled kids either. So how does a dad lead a kid to be humble, to have humility, even though they're growing up in a privileged environment, let's say? And privilege doesn't mean rich even, but just, anyone, anyone is good. Like your kids, like they don't need to do anything. You know what I mean? Like they got devices and phones. I mean, I see it here. There's kids that are 8 years old that clean our windshield at 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. on a school day because they can't go to school. They got to make money for their family. Like our kids are no matter what, so far ahead, have so many advantages. So how do you teach humility? Thanks for tuning in. If you want to hear this entire episode, the audio links are down below. But if you want to see another episode that we think you would enjoy on this channel, click right here.